Hey you guys, I am back with another video, and yes, today I am doing a faceless video, and I'm doing this video dedicated to Sara and Ben, just my thoughts on them. The reason why I'm gonna do a video dedicated to them is because I recently did a video a day ago yesterday about the reunion as a whole, but I decided to do also do individual videos about each couple separately and just their actions at the wedding and the reunion. Let's first start off with the wedding. At the wedding, we see Sara and Ben at the altar first, and we basically see the pastor asking Ben first. No, we see the pastor asking Sara first if she wants to marry Ben, and she says no. She walks off. She also talks to her family that they didn't have the same core values, and even at the altar she tells Ben about how her and him did not have the same core values. Now I feel like that Sara was very performative when it came to her standing on LGBTQ rights and being liberal. I think she did not really have the right to lead Ben on. I think that either she should have cut it off and continue to date Ben after the show, or she should just have went her separate way when it came to Ben. I honestly felt like that her leading Ben all the way up to the altar doesn't give her any reason to kind of be putting all the blame on Ben at the reunion. This whole wedding situation to me was just very foul. Just her rejecting him. I think it did seem like he was all in, and there has been some people on Threads saying how Ben really was a good person, but for me, I honestly just think that Ben might have been a little bit performative too as well, and I think Ben really was playing this as competition. I think Ben was also on the show for competition, even though he was not on a love triangle. His competition was to either be the one saying no first or to end up walking away and not getting married on the show. I think Ben's goal was to not get married on the show, but to become single on the show and build a following out of the show and get some brand deals out of the show, based on what Andre is saying on TikTok and the tea that Storytime with Ricky had spilled when it came to him giving people he was interested in his YouTube business cards. I think Sara and Ben both went on this show for the fame, for the followers, and I'm gonna just keep it like that. Now, when it comes to the reunion with Sara and Ben, I honestly just have a lot to say. So basically, Sara says that Ben and her continue to date after the show, and Sara was going to Nashville, Tennessee for work for a few months, and she wanted Ben to move in with her. So she set up all this stuff for Ben. She set up a desk for Ben, and I believe she was trying to track Ben on Find My Friends or Find My iPhone. She was tracking Ben on Find My Friends, and she was gonna have Ben, I believe, either fly or come all the way to Tennessee, move to Tennessee with her temporary for her job. I think she was a travel nurse, and unfortunately she was checking Find My Friends and she sees that Ben had turned off her location. She also sees that Ben was not nowhere to be found, and then eventually Ben ghosted her. So at the reunion she says how Ben ghosted her, and she was just really shocked. And then I believe Ben was asking Jimmy advice on whether or not how she should move when it comes to being with Sara. Also Jimmy was giving Ben advice on what to say at the reunion, and so basically, I think also Ben was practicing with other castmates on what to say at the reunion. So basically, Ben needed advice on how to break up with Sara and also on how to act on the reunion. So that just goes to show how performative Ben is, because if he really was in this relationship, he would have been able to do all this on his own. He would have been able to work things out with Sara all on his own. He would have been able to still pursue Sara even after she rejected him at the altar. So I think it comes down to Sara did the right thing by saying no, and I think that Ben never loved Sara anyways. After the show, you could see how Ben was just we were already broken up, and then Sara at the reunion says how Ben didn't take the time to call her. Ben only texted her, and if Ben really cared about her, he would have came to her in person, or he would have done more than just text her. And I think also Ben was asking advice from Jimmy on like what to say to Sara when it came to texting her. And I feel like that, yes, Sara is totally right. Had Ben just texted Sara, or had Ben just called Sara, even just that, I believe like that would have shown Sara how much she cares, because Ben was even telling Sara like, I'm heartbroken, and Sara was saying how like, well, if he felt heartbroken, he would have just saw her in person, or he would have called her. I think that if Ben was really heartbroken, he really would have taken the time to either fly to go see Sara or drive. I don't know how far Minnesota is from Tennessee, but I think that Ben would have done more and try to even get back with Sara if he felt heartbroken. I just think that Ben never cared for Sara at all. Ben never had any right intentions with Sara at all. Like, just they didn't have any intentions at all. And I see a lot of y'all saying how like Sara shouldn't even be complaining about Ben rejecting her after the when it came to about Ben ghosting her, when it came to her wanting him to move to Tennessee with her for her job. My thing is, I disagree with y'all, because I feel like that it was very wrong for Ben to ghost Sara. Sara rejected Ben at the altar, and then but then Ben was quote unquote disheartened by the way how Sara rejected her. I think also Ben pretended to be upset about Sara rejecting her at the altar. But anyways, if Ben really cared about Sara, he would have been so on to moving to Tennessee with her. Ben would have moved to Tennessee with Sara in a heartbeat if Ben really cared about Sara. Now, when it comes to this whole reunion situation, a lot of y'all are saying how like Ben, like Sara has no right to be upset that like Ben didn't want to go to Tennessee. No, she has a right to be upset, because they were dating after the show. They decided to collectively date after the show, and so then Ben's excuse is, oh, we were never dating, like we were broken up. I think Ben gaslighted Sara really hard, and this is just something that can't be taken lightly. I think when it came to this whole Tennessee situation, Sara has every right to be a victim. Okay, yes, she said no at the altar, but there has been plenty of women on this show, including Natalie and Deepti from season 2, who have said no at the altar. So for me, I'm just like, if they decided to date after the show, then Sara has a right to be a victim, because Sara asked Ben to come to Tennessee with her, and at first Ben was willing to move into Tennessee with her, and then I believe eventually Ben just ghosted her. So Ben is the one who's the villain here, guys. Ben is really the villain, guys, because Ben ghosted Sara. Ben decided to ghost Sara and never talk to this woman again. So for me, I'm just like, how do you be upset about being rejected at the altar, and then when Sara takes the time to ask you to move into Tennessee with her, you then get upset and heartbroken that you then ghost her? Like, how do you go from being rejected at the altar to then ghosting her when it comes to wanting to go to Tennessee? And it's just very diabolical that y'all are defending Ben for not wanting to go to Tennessee with Sara, because if Ben really cared about Sara, and if Ben really loved Sara, and if Ben really truly loved Sara on the show and wanted to marry this woman, he would have done whatever it took him to get this woman back, which is move to Tennessee, which is basically packing his bags and moving to Tennessee temporarily for her job. And he would have had his own place. Yeah, I think that Sara is just in the wrong. No, Ben is in the wrong. Sorry. Sara is the victim, but Ben is in the wrong big time. I mean, this is diabolical for me. Like, this is just very much diabolical behavior. I can't believe this right now. I mean, Ben is a narcissist. Like, he's a narcissist. I wish him nothing but the worst. Like what MM said, I wish him nothing but the worst. You literally ghosted this woman. Okay, yes, Sara did say no at the altar, but at the same time, she did attempt to date you after the altar. She attempted to date you after the altar and you ghosted her. So basically you broke the line, because why ghost her? Like, what did she do? She didn't do anything abusive, like, why ghost her? I mean, I need to see Ben on a podcast to see like how, like, because I feel like that there's still some missing parts of the pieces when it comes to this whole storyline. But Ben most definitely is in the wrong for this, because why ghost her? Like, they were continuing to date after the show, obviously. Then he comes up with an excuse like, oh, you know, we were broken up by then. My thing is, if you were broken up by then and then you felt heartbroken, like, I think Ben is just a baby here. And I think Ben just full on came on the show for clout. Like, Ben just full on was not on the show for the right reasons. Like, I mean, honestly, I just can't believe this right now. But yeah, anyways, bye bye.